Thank you for joining us for this video. Today we're going to be turning the LETO, which is our new pen kit as part of our Pro range. The LETO is a fountain and roller ball. The key differences to a standard pen kit are that there are extra things to turn as part of it. So instead of just doing the two barrels, you're actually going to turn the finial ends as well. What that allows you to do is create a pen that's custom to your design and not the design of the pen maker. So if you want to do something fancy on the end, then that's entirely up to you. So hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you at the end.
The kit comes with the following components. It comes with the nib holder, or the nib section. It comes with a German-made Bock nib that screws directly into the nib holder, nib section. It comes with a Schmidt K2 ink converter. And then you have the cap assembly, which includes the centre band and plastic thread insert, the brass tube, the clip, and then the cap finial. The nib connector, nib tube, and barrel finial there. And then this kit, like a lot of the fountain pens, comes with 4 bushes. So there's 2 there that are the identical diameter. Then you have a larger one for the nib connector and a smaller one for the finial. For this week's pen, we're going to use these new micarta pen blanks, which will be going on the website shortly. They're made actually out of resin and material to give this really unique effect. And they're really quite soft to touch as well, so it's a little bit different than what we'd normally use. And what I'll do is I'll talk you through all the stages of this, turning this pen. So in terms of the main parts of the pen turning, you turn the barrel and the nib section exactly the same way as you would any other pen kit. So what we're going to do, we're going to mark this blank up, cut it on the bandsaw, and drill that as normal and turn that between centres. That's the straightforward bit. When we come to the finials, they're a little bit different. So we have designed this kit to offer a little bit more of a challenge, also to give you that option of being a little bit more custom to you. So the end part is entirely up to you, but I'll show you how I do it. There may be better ways of doing it. There may be easier ways that you guys think you might have tooling that I don't, but I'll show you how I do it. So with the blank, we're going to mark it for the cap. We're also going to mark, give a little bit of space for trimming, but mark it for the nib. And then this leftover section of the blank, what we're actually going to do, we're going to turn this to round. We're going to drill the pilot hole to fit the finials, and then we're going to part that off. So I'll cover that in a second. Okay, so for this kit, we're using a 1532 drill bit for the cap section and a 2564 drill bit for the nib section. It's the same tube diameters as the Amiga kit that we sell. If that helped people, you don't need to go out and buy a second pair of drills. So we're up at the lathe. What I've done is I've squared up the blanks on the disc sander. There's lots of different methods of squaring up, but I quite like to use the disc sander. If you haven't seen us do this before, check out some of our other videos, because we show it on some of the other videos. So with the cap tube, 2 larger bushes are going to go into the ends of those, and the nib tube, you've got the smaller ones in there. We're going to turn this kit turn between centres. All our bushes comes with the 60-degree indent in the back edge of the bushing to allow for this. Involves a dead centre in the headstock, live centre in the tailstock, and the pressure just goes onto the blank instead of running down a mandrel. So again, we've got some previous videos showing that. I'm going to turn these to round, and then we'll come back to the assembly. Okay, so I'll quickly run through the assembly up to this point. At this point, the kit is exactly the same as what you do with any other fountain pen or rollerball kit. The centre band, the clip, and the finial top are going to go on top of the cap tube, and the finial end and the centre band nib connector is going to go on the nib barrel. Okay, so at this point I do have a confession to make. When I was turning the barrel of this blank, I managed to break it. So because I wanted to get this video out there, I did do a bit of a repair there, which you can see. So I will be stripping this back, but for the purpose of the video, I'm going to leave it in there. So what you've got now, you've got your two barrels with your little spigots on each end. The next part of the video, I'll show you how we're going to turn those little bits on the end. So there we are, that's the pen turned up to now. And what you'll find now is that we kind of go off piste with it now. Right, so we're back over at the lathe. What we're going to do first is we're going to turn this section here. You'll see that there's a little spigot on the end. It's about 4mm in length, and it measures 3.9mm in diameter. So I've got a 4mm drill, and what we're going to do, we're going to drill into the end of the blank just enough for that spigot to not bottom out. Okay, so I've offered up the pen to the hole and stuck that in the hole there. I want my finial end, and this is where it becomes really personalised to you really. I want mine to be about 9mm. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a mark at 9mm there, and then we're going to turn this section here down to the size of that top bushing, which is 13.6. So this is where the measuring comes in. You're not relying on bushes like you would with a standard kit pen. So this is where it just becomes that little bit more tricky. But we're going to turn that down. We're going to make sure that that's nice and fitted. And then what we'll do is we'll part that off and jam chuck it and then finish the top side of it. Okay, so that's my little bit that I've parted off. I've turned that down to the correct diameter on the outside. I've sanded this bottom edge. That'll just allow it for some glue a little bit later on. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to turn a little spigot here on the end of this blank and then press this onto it, which should then hold it in place, which will allow me then to finish and profile this end piece. So that's the finial top, and that should then just push onto there. And if you use the nice tight drill bit like we've used, then it pushes on nicely there. Now obviously we're going to come back and glue that, but you get the idea. We'll now move on to the bottom end. So the next job is to turn this part here down to 11.2mm, which is the diameter of the finial end here. Okay, so I decided before we moved on to this other finial that I'd change my jam chuck because it would be clear that my Carter doesn't act very well as a jam chuck. It kind of makes sense considering its fabric. So I've put some timber in, and that one's a lot better now. You can feel it. So that'll now sit in there. I'll sand that up and polish it, and then we'll move on to the next stage. Okay, so now we've got the finials done. The last job for us to do is to glue these into place. So what we'll do is I'm just going to use some medium CA, and I'm going to put that into the hole. Now we don't want to put too much glue in. These actually fit really well, so it doesn't need a great deal. We also don't want the glue to be squidging out along the edge of the plating, so just take your time when you're doing this, and it'll avoid any mess on your platings. And that'll just go nicely onto there. Like that. So that's one end on. Obviously just push it up nice and tight and make sure that there's no visible gaps. That's your cap. And then same for the little one on the end. And there you are. That's your finished letter. Now, one thing I would remind people is that when you're trimming the cap section, try not to, or make sure you don't over trim the brass tube. The fountain pen nib comes up quite close up to the end. So if you take too much off, then you might start causing yourself problems. So just bear that one in mind, don't over trim it, because the fountain pen nibs are that little bit longer than your standard fountain pen nib. But there you are.
So thank you for watching. Just to recap on what we've done, the TM LETO is available in rhodium and black titanium as a fountain pen and a rollerball. If you've got any questions about the process that we followed tonight, then please stick them in the comments. Feel free to email or ring us. And if you can, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to us on YouTube. Thank you.
Yay!